Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crossing Borders. Of course, we're just a couple weeks away from LUX Fight League 32, where Alex will be down calling the show on May 19th in Guadalajara. The ladies in the main event, we also got Lazy Boy Rodriguez, Mauricio versus Mauricio. A lot to talk about. Of course, one of our favorite fighters, Aburto, on there as well. So a lot of good stuff going down in Guadalajara. Alex, how you feeling today, buddy?
Hey, I'm feeling great. And finally, we get a show out this Monday, this week, which is Wednesday. So I'm pumped up about that.
Alex is just putting himself on blast half the time. I don't even have to say anything. It is a Wednesday, but
you'll see the show. Let me bang.
It is a Wednesday. You will see the show on a Thursday, though. We will put the show out tomorrow for you, nice and edited. Sometimes I put Alex's comments in there. Sometimes I take them out, but most of the time I just leave them in there.
Good. Just leave them there, man.
Alex, of course, today we'll be previewing LUX Fight League 32 coming up. We already previewed some of the ladies involved, but we'll be taking a look at that, making some picks for the fight card coming up. But before we do that, I do want to send a couple special shout-outs. Of course, last weekend, if you were paying attention, on 5 days' notice, former LUX featherweight champion Diego Lopes made his UFC debut. Didn't go his way, Alex, but, man, one hell of a show, one fight of the night honors. What you think of that fight?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, man. It was a great performance. I remember when I was looking at this, it's like, I think we were talking about this, like, how's this going to go? I mean, that dude was undefeated coming into this fight. No one's been able to match up against his talent. And then Diego Lopes showed up and was willing to just die.
Nobody told Diego he was fighting a cyborg. Like, this dude, even in his post-fight announcer, Evolov, even his post-fight interview, he was like, I don't tap. Like, you could break my arm, I don't tap. Like, in camp, I get hurt, I don't tap. And if you got a guy who doesn't tap, and Diego's throwing submission after submission, man, that Kimura was deep. The armbar was deep. And this dude just didn't tap. He's like, I'm not tapping. I don't care. Break
the knee bar too, man. The knee
bar too. He was just sitting there looking at him too. He's like, is the round over yet? Go ahead. I'm not tapping. I'm not tapping.
If it breaks, it breaks. Yeah. He was holding on to it, and I can actually see him. I can actually see his head, like his face, controlling his emotions, because it was like kind of escaping him, realizing that he was in trouble. Yeah. And then he goes, you know what, break. He's like, you can actually see where it clicks. And it's like, you know what, break it. I don't care. Do whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was sitting there looking at the knee bar. He's like, oh, man, I'm good. Don't worry about
this. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he said. He was like, all right, let it go, break it. There's nothing you can do. He wants it. He wanted it more.
But on the bright side, of course, taking the fight on 5 days' notice. By the way, shout out to Avolov as well, because he was coming off Ramadan as well. He barely trained as well, so. Yeah. It wasn't like either guy had a lot of training camp going into this one. It was a short notice fight replacement because the original opponent fell out. It's not like Diego was out of shape. Diego was already training for a title fight at one of the other regional promotions. I don't remember which one. It wasn't LUX. He was fighting for something else. One of the American promotions.
Something or no?
I'd have to look it up. They mentioned it on air. They mentioned it on air. I don't remember, but he was training. He was already training. But you know, it's something like unfortunate for some of the former LUX fighters, because his teammate Alessandro Nono Costa took a fight on short notice. Of course, he lost. He'll be getting another fight soon, I believe. And of course, Diego. They keep throwing these Latin fighters in there on short notice, but they're not going to say no to chasing their dream, right? Like, if your dream to be in the UFC your whole career, and they call him like, "Hey, I know it's last second, but do you want this fight?"
You better be ready to go. Yeah.
And you know this is a fighter. It doesn't matter if it's 1 day notice or 10-day notice or 6 weeks out. You think you're immortal. You think you're going to beat every single person you step in that ring with or cage with. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get in there. You have to think you're going to win. And Diego's no different. Diego trains with all those killers. You know, obviously Alexa Grasso is the current champion there. That's one of his fighters. Like, Diego's around all the time. So shout out to Diego Lopes. He put on a fantastic performance. I can't wait to see what comes next. Dana rewarded him with $50,000 for taking that fight and putting on a show. So, and I think he gave him his winner's money, even though he didn't win. So, you know, shout out to Diego. Congratulations. Diego's always been great to us. He likes and shares a lot of our content. So Thank you, Diego.
I mean, he had an opportunity. He went out and did the Contender Series. He got the eye poke. He was kind of losing that fight. There wasn't like the greatest matchup. This is what I'm talking about when, matchups make, great fights. And that's exactly what Diego Lopes. He had an opportunity against a really game fighter. And Evloev, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Evloev. And dude, it was sick. It was a sick performance. And I knew it was
John Anik and be like, how you say
it? Yeah. And that's exactly what, they did. It was a great matchup and a great opportunity for Diego Lopes to go out and perform the way he did, man. So, fuck, man, it's good. A lot of huge version. All you read in the comments, too, and all the social media posts, oh, he's got a huge future. Diego Lopes has got an amazing future up ahead of him within the UFC.
How many people get to say they made their debut on a UFC pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Not the undercard, not the prelims. He made his debut on the pay-per-view. That's a big deal.
Insane,
it's also more money. So
more money. Well, yeah, we'll see. Maybe he got a cut of the pay-per-view.
If you notice Diego, every comment he made when somebody to respond to stuff afterwards was about his bonus and his money. He's like, I lost, but I got paid.
Money. Hell yeah.
Diego knows what's up. He's a prize fighter. He knows what's up. You're not fighting for free. Yeah. So shout out to Diego. Definitely leaves more holes in the LUX roster because he had just come back late last year. So, and then there's another hole, right? Because the lightweight champion is now vacant. Drako Cossio signed with Bellator, which I think was a great move. I think a lot of these guys and girls go running to the UFC, but sometimes there's better opportunities in different promotions. And the Bellator lightweight promotion is very stacked. You got fighters like AJ McKee, for a while, Pitbull, but you got the other Pitbull now. You have just from top to bottom, the Bellator lightweights are filled with killers. So he's going to have a lot of competitors there. And, I mean, honestly, I think the guy probably should even fight at 170 sometimes because he struggles with weight at 155. But Cassio's got a lot of opportunity at Bellator. I think that was a great signing.
I think you're right. I think it was a great he's got to perform, though, in his next fight. He's got to make the weight. He's got to have a spectacular performance because the driving numbers for Bellator, man, you're either a superstar or you're really not, and that's it. It's there's no we're gonna put you on the pay-per-view prelim cards. No, man, you got to be a star. He's got the character, he's got the personality to be the superstar that Bellator is looking for, and he can fight, man, and he can fight so well. So he needs the right matchup. I'm looking forward to see who they put him up against at 155 pounds.
Yeah, it's a big time for Mexican fighters. Of course, another Mexican-American, Henry Cejudo, just fought this weekend, lost to Aljo. And that was a really close, good fight. You got Yair Rodriguez challenging. They just announced, actually, before this show, he's challenging Alexander Volkanovski down at UFC 190. So it's a good time for Latin American fighters to keep growing. But, Alex, we're here to talk about LUX Fight League 32. We're here to talk. We're here to talk about Saray Orozco versus Andrea Vazquez in a title unifier. Also, one fight that I do think got pushed off. We were talking about it, but it's not on the card anymore. I don't think the Eli Rodriguez fight is happening now. It is actually not listed in the main card anymore. So we'll hold off on talking about that fight. Hopefully some news comes out about that. But I have not seen that on the final card rundown, even though it's still listed on the SureDog listing. We, of course, talked about her versus Fernanda Munoz, the up-and-coming versus the veteran, even though Munoz has more fights, which is kind of funny. But we'll hold off on talking about that fight. We talked about it already on the last show. If you want to get our thoughts on it, you can go back that one. But on the latest card that I just see that LUX released, it has the Orozco-Vazquez fight, and then the co-main event is the Delgado versus Vic Moreno fight. So we'll go with that card for now. Let's go ahead and jump into that main event, though. Champion versus champion. Saray Orozco, of course, won the belt. Took some time off to go film a reality show, a competition show. And then in the meantime, Andrea Vazquez came up, won the interim title. We talked about both these ladies last episode a little bit. But how do you see this fight going?
Man, this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I mean, when was the last time we saw Saray Orozco kind of compete, How long? What's the time difference there? Since
it's been since 2022, right? Like she hasn't fought this year.
It's been a while, so we'll have to see how she comes back from, such a huge layover or, layoff, excuse me. And coming back, especially after reality TV show, you've experienced some laid back, cool times, made some money on the, on the side now. And so it's
even hard to believe. I had to look at it. I was like, it says May 26, 2022. And I'm like, has it been that long since she won the strawweight title? And I'm like, it has actually been that long.
It has, yeah. So that's going to be very interesting. She's going up against really hungry Andrea Vazquez, who is looking jacked, man. And you see all her training videos and stuff, and she looks really determined. So she's going up against somebody who's ready to go to war here. That being said, I think the champ Saray Orozco has like just so much star power going into this fight. Has so much talent, and she's just durable in the fight. We'll see how much. The question is, how much has these distractions outside of the cage, how much has that affected her ability coming into this fight? I mean, she's also no spring chicken either, right? How old is Saray Orozco these days? 31 years of age.
She's a couple years older than Vazquez. She's 31. Okay. I look at this fight two ways. One, like you said, rust, right? But we've seen the training videos from Saray Orozco. She looks fantastic. She's in shape. Like, we know she's in shape. She's obviously got, her boyfriend, Alan Dominguez, there in her camp, and they train constantly. But Vazquez is something special about her. She's a little bit shorter, a little bit less reach, but she just has like that explosiveness. And you saw it again in the Romo fight. Like we didn't expect she was going to do what she did. And she came out and got the job done. Of course, she has the grappling background as well. So I think if this fight goes to the ground, I think she could give Orozco fits. But that said, I'm actually sticking with the champ too. And I love Andrea Vazquez. I think she's got a huge future in MMA, but I just don't like her in this matchup because of the way that the size advantage that Orozco has. I know she had the same disadvantage against Romo, but I don't know. I think Orozco's a little bit better. Orozco also handled Romo pretty well as well when she fought her. So I don't know. I'm gonna stick with the champ in this one. I think we're both on the same page on this one. I think it's going to be Saray Orozco. But I'd love to see this fight. I can't wait to see this fight on May 19th because it's going to be explosive. Over in the co-main event, we were talking about it. Edgar Delgado versus Victorious Moreno. Which, by the way, I find that funny that he lost against Lazy Boy, but he's higher up on the card in this fight. But that said, what do you think of this fight, Delgado versus Moreno?
Man, Delgado has
Moreno won a lot of fans in that Lazy Boy fight.
He did. And Lazy Boy Rodriguez is no, easy guy to take down and to beat. He's got, that win against Sergio Cossio. Alejandro Martinez, he's been in very exciting fights. So Edgar Delgado is always ready to throw down. He's coming in. The Costa Rican fighter is just hands, man. He's always throwing down. He's got, submissions. He's got knockout power. He's been in there with some of the toughest guys. He's even fought. Here's a crazy one. Jose Calvo, and got a split decision win over the flyweight champ, the current flyweight champ. So that's just an interesting tidbit for you guys there.
I think it's crazy that both these guys are going through multiple divisions. You talking about flyweight. Moreno fought Lazy Boy bantamweight. This fight is at featherweight. Like, these guys are going between three different divisions. They just want to fight.
Exactly. That's my point. This is what I'm trying to show. It's like, man, Delgado, it's just, man, he is down to fight, man, and he'll fight anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere, literally.
Now, Vic Moreno, no slouch, only lost to Lazy Boy. Who takes this one?
Oof, man. Gosh.
And Moreno's no spring chicken. They're both 34, 35. These guys have been fighting for a while.
Yeah. Oh, man. So if I were to guess, I would have to go with the experience here. I have to go with Delgado. He's just got more time in the cage.
You gonna take the onion?
And when you look, I'm gonna take him. Yeah, I'm gonna take the youngin here on this one for this featherweight matchup, just because of the way that Delgado has had an experience with a lot of high level guys. and been able to really hang in there with the guys. So I'd have to go with Delgado on this one.
I'm gonna go with Delgado only because he's the bigger fighter, right? Like Moreno's coming up in weight to 145. Delgado's coming down because obviously he just fought Cossio a couple fights ago. Like he's coming down, but he's still the bigger guy. They both have submission skills, so this is gonna be another sick contest. Great matchup from LUX Fight Makers. But I think I'll stick with Delgado as well in that one.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, it looks like I'm teaching you well, man. You're now starting to kind of join my side, so this is great.
I'm just waiting for LUX to give me a call to give me a job. But anyway, hey, I'm following Joe on social media. I'm trying to get those link ups. If nothing else, maybe we can become LUX official T-shirt maker. Maybe we can get some of these Kings of MMA for LUX.
There we go. I love it.
Get some official LUX. And while we're at it, FightersFirst.shop. Go get the collection.
There we go. That's Joe.
Yeah, guys, come on, man. You're supposed to be my Latin American liaison. I'm gonna get you some business cards. It says co-host of Crossing Borders and Latin American liaison for Fighters First.
I love that. Let's do it, man.
Also on the card, we got a lot of great fights. We're not gonna go through every single fight card matchup on this card because the show would be 2 hours long. But I do want to talk about a couple other fighters real quick. One.
Okay.
Anuar, Tarzan, Aburto, one of our favorites, going against Luis Marquez. I'm interested to see how you think I want to work out because Aburto has been training actually in Las Vegas. He's been at Extreme Couture. He's been training with a lot of UFC fighters. I honestly think he's going to get that call up if he gets one more win just because he's so connected with these guys right now. Like every UFC video, you see him in the background somewhere, especially with a lot of the fighters getting called up, King Silva, all these guys. What do you think of Aburto in this matchup with Marquez?
Okay, we saw with Anuar Aburto on the last one, or 2 fights ago when he got clipped.
Yeah,
and he got laid out,
and he still came back.
Man. But that was close. There's still a lot for him to learn. It's incredible talent and physical ability that is problematic with even guys in the UFC now. But that being said, though, he needs to kind of have that swath of experience that he's going to need if he's going to be competing in the highest level in the UFC. I think he has the potential. I think he's got the ability, but we just need to develop that experience, man. And I think if I was managing somebody of that kind of talent is to, all right, let's get him the right fights. I think he's got the right fight coming up right now. That's increasing, I should say, just the level of talent that he is facing, and he's got to put on a good show, man. He's got to get pushed to the limit here. We want to see where that limit is, so then we can find out where these weaknesses are. Obviously, his coaches already know and understand those, but it's just so difficult to find training partners. And then when you put him live on there, he needs time in the cage, so then he can get over these obstacles that he's going to bump into in the UFC.
Yeah, I think that's the greatest thing about him going to Vegas to train is the training partners, right? Like, they have a hard time finding him opponents. He's 6'6", fighting at 170 pounds, kind of like Jalen Turner in the UFC. Like, these dudes that are that tall, lanky, you don't have a lot of training partners. Even his opponent, Marquez, no disrespect to Marquez, he's a lightweight coming up to 170 to fight him. We talked about it with Bam Bam fighting at 185 pounds. There's not a lot of big fighters down in Mexico. And it's hard to find matchups to continue to get these guys experience and get them exposure. And you have a star, like you had a star in Bam Bam Valenzuela. And then, of course, now you have new stars because he lost and somebody else stepped up. But the same thing with Aburto. Like, he's a big fighter for a lot of those divisions. And there's not a lot of people to match up with him. They got to bring people in from different places or see if somebody wants to move up in weight to try to fight him. It's a tough thing to get his experience because he's 25 years old. If he doesn't get the experience now, he's going to make a late arrival. So I think the best thing in the world is him going to Vegas, getting different training partners, getting to see different angles and different styles of fighters. And he's still hanging out with all the guys out there. He's hanging out with Diego Lopes. He's hanging out with all Nono Costa and all those guys. So I think the sky is the limit for him. And if he comes out and does his job this weekend or next weekend, he does his job, I think he's going to get that call up really quick, or at least get a shot at Dana White's Contender Series, if nothing else. And then the other fighter I wanted to talk about, Lazy Boy, right? Like they announced it's going to be, I believe, Fito Rubio and Roar going in June for the vacant bantamweight title that, of course, Beltran dropped. I thought Lazy Boy would be in the mix for that, but clearly they think he needs at least one more win for that. But he's got a tough matchup, going against Angel Pasha Rodriguez. What do you think of his chances in that fight?
I think it's a great matchup. This guy's got tons of experience. He's got in the cage there with Diego Lopes the last time we saw him. I think it's a good one for Lazy Boy to go up against and kind of really test his level here. But this is kind of all in the making. I think it's a fantastic matchup. I think Lazy Boy should win this fight. He just has so much momentum. He's got so much talent. He's very aggressive. Still a lot to learn, I believe. But nonetheless, the kid's got so much talent. And he's going up against a guy who's got tons of experience. So, like I said, a perfect matchup for him. I think it's going to really push his limits and be able to really get some really good highlights off of this fight, which is what he needs to get that opportunity and fight for the title. But it's funny that you bring him up. I mean, because I think he's a great fighter. I love that guy. But the really guy that's been in the background, who I think in the bantamweight division, I think people are scared to fight. People are not really looking forward to really is to bump in against this guy, Mauricio Alfonso. So Mauricio is just a badass, man. That guy, he's the guy that I see as the real threat to the bantamweight division coming up.
Yeah, he's 5-0. Lazy Boy, 15-2, right? Like, and he's only 24 years old.
Yeah, isn't
only
that crazy?
24 years old, and one of his only losses really recently is when he went to Dana White's Contender Series, didn't get it done. Came back and reeled off 5 straight wins, four straight wins going into now hopefully his 5th. You talk about Alfonso, and look, they're not fighting for the title till June, right? So if Alfonso gets it done against Nieves, which is no easy task. Nieves is very crafty, has a lot of submission attempts, a lot of different crazy angles he comes out. He's very unorthodox. Rodriguez gets it done. Alfonso gets it done. I wouldn't be surprised if we even see these two match up in the number 1 contenders fight come, who knows when, like August or September, because whoever wins in June is going to need a few months to recover as well. And then also we have a crazy situation like we saw with Kiki Gonzalez and Jorge Calvo, where they had an interim fight. It didn't happen, and then it got pushed back, and then they had a fight months later. So either one of these guys could easily find themselves fighting for the title pretty soon with the way, people get called up to the UFC. Other fighters get pulled in different directions. Money talks. But you're right. The bantamweight division, even like losing Beltran, is still very much alive. Do you think, I know it's getting a little bit off topic of this card, but do you think it was a good call going with Roar versus Rubio for the title? Because Rubio just lost.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I like about LUX is that they like to move the division forward, and they're moving it. They're making sure that the pieces are moving, that the things are going the way they should be, and that's what I like about it. So the fact that they got somebody who secured the movement of the bantamweight division. Of course, with their boy taking off, the champ leaving. And so this is kind of just the adjustments, right? You have to keep the division moving, even if some of those fights don't necessarily make the best of sense. But you got fighters that you're developing. You got fighters that have been through, that are going through some ups and downs. And so I think it's good. I think this is exactly what you need to do is just keep the division moving, keep it alive, and put the right fights up on to make them happen and develop those fights, right? You want to be able to, as a promotion, sell the right fight.
As a fighter, from your point of view, is this an exciting time for a promotion like LUX when a lot of champions just got called up to the UFC and to Bellator and other places, and now there's a lot of vacancies for some of these belts? You're talking about a new featherweight champion, a new lightweight champion, a new bantamweight champion, a new flyweight champion. Like, is this like when you come on these cards, when you know all these openings for titles, do you fight harder? Like, like this is my chance?
Yeah, as a fighter, you wanna go to a place that is going to invest in you, right? So Lux has been doing that with some of its fighters, right? Is developing them. And then once you have that pathway and those relationships that you build as a fighter with managers, which are the managers that are actually have good communications with the talent relationships of the UFC or Bellator. You start seeing the pieces come together. But when you see pioneers like Diego Lopes in the division going all the way through and entering into the UFC, you have like the Contender Series and how that's going through. These guys are pioneers in this generation of fighters that are entering the UFC. And so Lux has kind of set the platform. And it's really, and I always tell it to all the fighters, it's up to you really to come up with the right solution for it and come up with what's going to work for you and how do you want to work for this promotion. Is it going to propel your career? And a lot of the time is, this is the right path and the right platform to use to catapult you into your dreams to make it into the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, you got a card like LUX 32, which is stacked. Even losing the Saray Rodriguez fight, you still got other fights we haven't talked about. Solorzano versus Variel. You got Uriel Cossio back to the Challengers show, which I mean. God, that guy can't catch a break. He wins, he loses, he wins, he loses. Back. He's like, we're back in the main card. All right, back to Challenger stage. But he's fighting Jaime Landano, which is that's a hell of a fight for an undercard for the prelims. You got Goku versus Garibay. You got Alexis Leon versus Alcaraz. Camargo versus Bojors. And then you got the ladies, Baltazar versus Padilla. You got a really good card built up for Guadalajara on the I can't even talk right now, on May 19th. What are you looking forward to most on that card?
Well, aside from the main event and those bantamweights that we talked about, Anuar Aburto scoring that fantastic win and performance. This is what he needs. Aside from all that, I will be visiting Guadalajara for the first time, where the Soto family's from, and so I'm going to be meeting up there with my brother. We're going to be actually celebrating out there for the weekend. I'm going to extend my weekend all the way, or my stay this time. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with my brother. A couple of friends of ours are going to be going. Shorty Torres will be joining us all as well. So I'm excited. It's going to be a good time and a good break from the norm here. And getting to meet Guadalajara and exploring the city of Guadalajara. So I'm really, really excited about seeing that.
Yeah, Guadalajara, Jalisco, I mean, it's just such an amazing part of the world. You're going to have a great time, I know, especially when you sneak that bottle of mezcal or tequila in for me to bring back. But other than that, I think it's going to be fantastic. Obviously, the food down there is amazing. Yes. That Southern Mexican authentic cuisine with the moles and all the different sauces. And you ain't getting no cricket tacos down there, bro. You're getting some real food, real al pastor, you're getting that real food down there. So I have no doubt Alex is going to come back a light heavyweight.
I'm sure I'm already a light heavyweight.
Okay, well, fine. We're pushing you up to heavyweight. Now you're joining me at this point.
That's gonna tip it over. Yeah.
All right, me and Alex are heavyweight, former bantamweight fighter. I used to box at 160. All right, cool. We just gonna meet at heavyweight. It's fine.
There we go.
But now it's gonna be a fantastic card on May 19th. Make sure you tune in to UFC Fight Pass, Fox Deportes, ESPN Deportes, anywhere they show the card. I know Fox has been showing it usually a few days after the event. You get it the Monday night or Tuesday, so it's always a good chance to catch up on the fights. Whether it's Alex and Francisco or Henry Briones and those guys, it's just a great show to check out. So check out LUX Fight League, May 19th, down in Guadalajara. Any final comments before we get out of here today, Alex?
No, that's all I got, man. That's all I got for tonight.
All right, well, go ahead and check out Alex's collection on FightersFirst.shop. Go ahead and check out all the shows. You got the Crossing Borders merch you can see right below. Link is in the description. Support the show, support the fighters. All the profits go to those involved. So it's a great way to show your love and appreciation and also get some dope merchandise in the meantime. We're not asking for a handout. I'm giving you something dope in exchange. So go enjoy it. Alex, you enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your trip. We will be back after the show, that week after the show, to get the results and what happened and to share with our crowd and our audience. Thank you very much once again. Ladies and gentlemen, for Alex Soto, I'm Mike Inn. This is Crossing Borders. We're out.